something that happened on Saturday night, live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, WWE Elimination Chamber. Jalen, I got to tell you, there's been a lot of great wrestling, right, over the last 6 months, obviously. But Saturday night, and we are recording this on Sunday, so the day after Elimination Chamber, what we witnessed that night was, in my opinion, I don't care if it's WrestleMania, I don't care if it's SummerSlam, I don't care if it's Rumble, whatever premium live event you want to put out there. That was one of the best top to bottom wrestling shows I have witnessed in a long time. Everybody did their part. There was storytelling, there was spots, there was action. The crowd was hot. Oh, Jalen, I still am buzzing about what took place in Montreal at the Bell Center.
Let's just talk about how Sami Zayn, that Friday, when his original music hit, how loud that crowd was. Just it was small compared to Sunday. Sunday's crowd was so loud and so incredible. It was like Punk and Cena in Chicago all over again.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, it reminded me a lot of that. Obviously, the FU Roman chant starting even during the pre-show. Listen, man, and I have said this, and I don't know, we haven't really talked, so I don't know if you're going to agree or disagree with me on this. I said when Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble, and I have nothing against Cody Rhodes in the story, and I understand it. But if I was booking, in my opinion, and I get it was Montreal and the whole thing was crazy, I understand why they did it. But Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns for the undisputed Universal Championship had the main event WrestleMania, in my opinion, because I have said I believe Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn going after the tag team titles. I don't love that story because after they win, like, then what? There's no story for them to branch off. It feels secondary to the main story, which in my opinion is Sami versus Roman.
I agree, and I think a lot of people said it best. This is another case of Batista. Like, you bring Batista back in 2014, right? But Daniel Bryan is the hottest thing in the company. So it's like, you're not – these people don't hate Cody Rhodes. They obviously love Cody, loved all his work. But it's like Sami Zayn is the hottest thing going in the world right now. It's kind of like, I guess you can kind of say Cody kind of came up short with this because it's really not his fault. It's just how the WWE universe is so red hot and excited for Sami to win and get that big one.
Yeah, Jalen, I said, I don't know. I think, is there a way you do Roman versus Cody for only one of the belts? Do you make it a triple threat and you make it the stipulation that the first fall is for the WWE Championship, the second fall is for the Universal Championship, maybe Cody pins Sami for the WWE Championship and Roman pins Cody for the Universal Championship. That way you keep Roman's Universal Championship streak alive, but you give Raw back the WWE Championship. I don't know what you do here because part of me thinks that there is a reason why I think Roman could be leaving after WrestleMania. I think there's a real possibility that Cody could walk out with both championships. But another thought is like, is Cody the guy to defeat Roman? Because as much as I love Cody and respect him since he's came back last year, he is not in my top 3 of guys that should dethrone Roman. And in no order, I would say Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, or the man who formed the Shield with him, Seth freaking Rollins. Those would be the 3 main choices I would have to dethrone Roman. So I don't know what you do in that situation.
There's so many scenarios. But it's just the way that WWE decides to run with it. Like, they could do so much. But either way, if Sammy's not involved in some way, shape, or form, they're taking a loss here. Like, they are taking huge amount of criticism. So Sammy has to be there some way, somehow.
What are your thoughts on the women's elimination chamber match that, of course, saw Asuka and Bianca Belair? And now Asuka obviously win the chamber. She will go on to face Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship of WrestleMania, as well as Rhea Ripley, of course, who won the Royal Rumble, and now will challenge Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Do you like the booking of either of those women's matches?
I like Asuka, and I like her new face paint, her new gimmick. I like it. I like it a lot, and I really, really, really want to see Bianca lose. I am so sick of Rhea Ripley, of Bianca Belair. I want a new champion. I want something different. And of course, you know I love Mommy. She is she's great. She's one of the best we've seen out of the whole COVID era, and then when she fought Charlotte last year, I liked her. I was there for it. I was here for it. I liked the whole idea, and I've been invested in Rhea since she walked onto that Raw stage with her NXT belt. I was invested.
See, I've never really been the biggest fan of Asuka. I thought she's always been a little bit overrated in the ring. I don't think she's very charismatic myself. And Rhea, I think, has really flipped the page since joining with Dominic and Finn and Damian Priest in the Judgment Day. But as much as the woman as WWE have right now, I think losing Sasha Banks and Naomi have obviously hurt the company. And I don't know. I almost would have felt like I think the biggest WrestleMania match you could make on the card would have been, maybe a Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Becky or Bayley triple threat match. Maybe Bianca versus Rhea Ripley. Then for the Raw Women's Championship is where I would have went. I understand where they're going with the story of, obviously Rhea Ripley losing the NXT Women's Championship to Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 36. Now Rhea looking for her revenge. But I don't know. I guess I'm not the biggest fan of Asuka, which is why I'm a little sour on Bianca versus Asuka, though I do agree with you. As much as we all want Bianca Belair, as much of a star as she is, I believe, her championship reign has gone on a little bit too long, but I don't think it's necessarily her fault, Jalen. I just think they don't have a lot of credible heels right now, especially on Raw and SmackDown for that matter.
I agree. I think what needs to happen is Charlotte needs to stop being a nice girl and go back to the heel Ric Flair-esque queen of WWE type. I don't like Charlotte as a face. I'll tell you that right now. I don't.
I think she's better as a heel, but I'm again, outside of maybe Raquel Rodriguez, what babyface could challenge her for the SmackDown Women's Championship right now, which I think is a problem. I think they will do the draft after WrestleMania. I think it will shake things up. I do think, by the way, Rhea Ripley does walk away from WrestleMania, the SmackDown Women's Champion. I think the Judgment Day will move over to SmackDown during the draft. On Raw, I think Asuka will win the Raw Women's Championship. Maybe Bianca moves back to SmackDown after the draft, and that's Ripley's first feud is Bianca versus Ripley for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and kind of give Asuka the new lay of the land. Maybe you move Charlotte over to Raw, and you put Asuka versus a heel Charlotte for the Raw Women's Championship. I think WWE has done a good job, Triple H in particular, of bringing back some of the women and kind of lengthening out the roster. But I think the women are suffering right now from, outside of Becky Lynch, Bayley, Charlotte, Bianca, and Rhea, that's 5 girls. And when you don't have a secondary championship, like an Intercontinental or a United States Championship, Jalen, it's really hard to give all these women credible stories to tell, which why it doesn't feel like they have a lot of depth on the roster.
Yeah, there is so many women out of place, and it's not that they're bad workers or bad wrestlers or not charismatic. It's just where are you gonna put all these women? Like, and I'm not saying like I don't want to see like I'm a fan of majority of the women on the roster, but you forget about people like Lacey Evans. Like if you're a casual
Yeah.
fan, right? If you don't watch every week, like you and I tend to do, even though I've kind of flipped towards AEW, but like we keep up with the product like through Twitter, Instagram, social media highlights. But if you don't do that and you just tune in after a year of absence, you're like, oh, well, where's Lacey Evans? Oh, where's Mandy Rose? Where's Where are all these talented women that were just B to A plus players on the card, and now they're just kind of lost in the shuffle?
No, it's a good point. Speaking of B plus to A plus workers, Jalen, I gotta talk about that men's elimination chamber match last night.
Whoa. Whoa.
Listen, that was a match that when it was first announced and when I saw the competitors, it didn't really feel like a big time, elimination chamber match to me. I didn't know how I felt about the United States Championship being on the line. I had booked a scenario where maybe they put the entire bloodline, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, inside the elimination chamber, which obviously did not happen. I think they made the right call with that. But that was the match we got. And I got to tell you, Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Montez Ford, Damian Priest. There was a lot of new blood in there. Great spot with Montez Ford climbing the top of the chamber like Spider-Man and jumping off it, which was unbelievable. Um, that match to me over delivered, and I'm a little bit surprised that Theory retained the championship. I had thought there was a scenario where I know he was low on the betting line, but I thought maybe Damian Priest of the Judgment Day would walk out of that chamber with the United States Championship.
That match was incredible. Can we talk about how Logan Paul, it's a tie between Logan Paul and Roman Reigns. Logan Paul or Roman Reigns might be the two most hated human beings in Montreal right now.
Yeah.
Those boos were genuinely the most hateful thing besides the FU Roman chants, obviously. Those reactions,
That and Dominic Mysterio too.
oh yeah, that was bad. I was flipping back and forth because obviously it was All-Star weekend, so I'm watching. And when I come back to my laptop, because I'm streaming on my laptop, I come back and Johnny Gargano just Hurricane Rana off the top of the pot. It's magical. It's just a magical. There's something about watching just this story in this demonic structure take place that was beautiful. Now, can I tell you a story, Brandon?
Go ahead.
I will forever love Johnny Gargano. Okay. Now, as you know, he's a hometown boy. But when I was younger, one of my cousin's buddies, best friends from high school, he runs a wrestling company out of the wonderful state of Ohio in the wonderful city of Cleveland. And I've watched Johnny Wrestling progress from wrestling in gyms, and I was lucky enough to witness his last independent match for that company.
Wow.
I have been lucky to speak to Johnny, not obviously a lot, but just seeing him walk through the tunnel and around the gyms and wherever we're selling out. I've been lucky to witness how good of a wrestler he has been able to be over these past 5, 6, 7 years. And then I watched him progress to main eventing NXT when NXT was the biggest thing in the world at that point. If you wanted to see good wrestling, you would watch Triple H's NXT. And I watched him win the NXT championship. And then I teared up that night because I watched that and I feel like I saw that develop. And that was the case last night. I saw the Johnny I saw on the independent circuit. he was doing what he did on the independent circuit, and it was just it warmed my heart to see.
I thought Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, and Montez Ford all made a name for themselves last night inside that chamber. I don't think they're gonna do a Street Profits breakup angle per se, where Angelo Dawkins turns heel. I just think over the draft, Montez moves to SmackDown or Raw, wherever Bianca Belair is, and Angelo Dawkins is on the other brand, and we have a new breakup of the Street Profits. And Montez Ford becomes a star, and maybe Johnny Gargano goes over to SmackDown, and maybe he competes with Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship or something like that. But I think all three of those guys, Jalen, just tremendous breakout performances last night and one of the best Elimination Chamber matches we've seen in a while.
You know what would be my dream booking?
Go ahead.
For Mania here. You have that Elimination Chamber. You have Montez Ford in there, right? You have Johnny in there, and you have Mr. A-Town himself.
Ooh, Theory.
And you have this triple threat match, and it's just pure wrestling and pure magic, and you could throw anyone else. You could throw Damian Priest in there if you want to, but I'm just saying, watching those B+ guys take over, I feel like that could take over Mania. No matter how good that main event is with Roman or Cody or Roman or whoever they decide to go with here, I feel like people will say, wow, that triple threat, that fatal four-way, that was incredible. That was the match of the night. And I would love to see that.
Obviously, Jalen, last year's WrestleMania 38 was truly stupendous. It was filled with magical moments. Stone Cold Steve Austin to Pat McAfee to Roman and Brock to RK Bro to everything Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn, everything in Logan Paul and Miz against the Mysterios, everything on that card, Cody returning against Rollins, everything on that card just seemed to click. But I think this year, going into transitioning into WrestleMania 39, I think it has potential to be a real special event. And I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on it, particularly for one reason, because as we know, Vince McMahon has put the company up for sale for $9 billion. And I think that this is going to be a showcase. I think, companies that are looking to buy, Comcast, Disney, are going to be looking at this event. There's going to be, 2 nights in SoFi Stadium. And I think Triple H is going to put on a very special event.
I can hope. Now, what if... I'm not saying it's going to happen. It is very, very slim. What if Tony Khan makes the purchase?
I thought about that. I doubt it's going to happen. Now, I have been the first up front to say I do not want at all Vince McMahon to sell WWE. I think it should be in the family, Jalen. I think it is the absolute wrong move. I think it was wrong of him to kick Stephanie McMahon out. I hated everything about it. When the rumor came up about Saudi, I couldn't sleep at all that night. Just the whole thing is not great to me. But if somebody were to buy it, I think it should be Comcast. I think it should be the company that's in charge of the USA Network. I think that they should just keep everything in charge right now because I think everything with Triple H is working. I think you need to keep Triple H in charge of Chief of Content Officer. If Vince McMahon wants a small role in the company, he can do that. But yeah, I doubt it's going to happen, but wouldn't that be a freaking story if Tony Khan bought WWE, right?
Dude, Twitter would have a field day with that. Twitter would. Oh my. Oh Lord. Twitter is just like the wrestling Twitter. If you guys don't know, if you guys are mainly here for the football and basketball, wrestling Twitter is a gem place sometimes. It's a great place.
It can be very funny. It can also be very cruel sometimes. A lot of times people are not patient for the story.